Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Hi, Valerie. How are you today? I'm good.
I'm so good. Thank you so much for joining me. So, we're going to be talking today about exploring home health. Is your house making you sick or well? So, thanks for so much for joining me on this topic. It's a super important topic, and we'll explain why. Elisa is a dear friend of mine, and I'm so excited to be able to do this podcast content with you. I've known you for decades now, and you've helped me design my own home, thank God. But I'm excited to share with everyone about what you do.
I'm really excited to be doing this with you and to talk about keeping homes healthy. I'm an interior stylist and a home oracle, and I've worked in home staging, had my own home staging business for many years before I decided to start to get out of it. So now I focus on styling and working with homes in a more energetic kind of way.
And I know you also do feng shui in the past. So you have a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
experience with that and with home energies. Can you talk about how many homes you have gone into and done home staging with or styled, just so we can get an idea of how many homes you've really seen when people have really toxic stuff or really great stuff?
Yes, I did for many years before I actually went into home staging, so I was already working with them on an energetic level. I've done over 300 homes, so I've been in many different homes in all price ranges, going from $1,000 to $10, $15 million. And I've seen everything, which is both good and bad, but it's taught me a few things about how we live in our home. It's really important for us to talk about this because there's a lot of health issues that we all go through, especially more now than ever. And I wanted to be able to talk with you about this, and that's why we're here today. And I would say probably one of the most toxic homes that I've worked in would be hoarder homes
Yeah.
or borderline hoarder home. There's a lot of clutter and stuff, and it hasn't been cleaned up in years. And there's a lot of blocking things, blocking the window, the door, vents, things like that,
Um,
that don't allow for proper airflow. And a lot of people are still maybe not aware of the danger of using certain cleaning products or any
mhm.
kind of product that have a lot of chemicals in it. When I've gone through home, the first thing I pick up is the energy of it because I'm really in tune with that, and also the smell. So it's really important to pick up on that because if it's really strong, that's an indicator that the home is not healthy for you.
What would be like certain smells that you're like, oh my gosh, this home is not healthy? What would those be?
Like chemical cleaning products, new carbon off-gassing, candles that have a lot of toxic chemicals in it, new furniture versus older furniture, with
Hmm.
both had its pros and cons because new furniture would have more toxic chemicals in it, but then older furniture would have this really old, musky smell to it if it hasn't been cleaned properly over the years.
Hmm.
So as we evolve and grow and become healthier in the long run, we just have to be aware of what we're bringing in the home to keep it healthy for us.
Because a lot of these chemicals and the mold, the kind of health issues that they lead to are things like hypothyroidism. Mold sickness is a huge one, like people actually living in moldy homes, or from all of the off gassing, it can lead to increases in estrogen in the body or fibroids or other endometrial changes or lung issues. So when people have issues breathing or if they have worsening asthma or COPD, there's a lot of different health issues that all of these changes can lead to. If somebody has mold in their house, what is the best way to deal with that?
I would get a professional cleaner to come in and address the mold issue because they have the proper tool to allow for ventilation when they clean
Mhm.
it. And they use a lot of chemicals that you don't want to expose yourself to. And these professionals have masks on and all kinds of hazmat suit or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I've been in many homes where there's been mold present, and the best thing is just have someone take care of it for you. That way they will make sure they get every bit of mold, because a lot of times when we try to do it ourselves, we either skip steps or we don't use the proper equipment or we'll miss a spot and able to come back.
Yeah, like you may see mold in a certain area, but you don't know if it's in the walls or how deep it is. So I'm sure that's a big issue, especially if you're trying to sell a house and there's mold damage, you have to get taken care of with remediation.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't sell the house until it's been addressed.
Got it. And then it's so interesting that you mentioned about furniture because I know that so many people are like, oh, I want to go shopping for new furniture. What would you say is the best way to, if you want to have a non-toxic home, where should someone look for new furniture or older furniture to have the least chemical impact for them?
That's a tough question because there's so many different places to get furniture.
Mhm.
But I would say the best thing is don't go too cheap,
Okay.
because the cheaper you go, the more they're going to put in stuff that you don't know what's in there. You might have spent a little bit more money to get a better quality furniture or have something handmade. If you see like a sofa that was made 30 years ago and the framework is still in great shape, but maybe the fabric not what you want, just
Mhm.
simply get a new fabric and get it reupholstered. And yes, it does cost more money, but it's healthier in the long run doing it that way.
Is it still okay to then put new fabric on it? Would it still not be toxic that way? Or should you just scrap it and get a new couch?
I think you would have to determine by and taking a look at it if it's been properly taken care of over the years, or
Mhm.
if it's just been sitting somewhere and got smoke smell from
Mm,
a cigarette smoker. It just depends on those factors right there.
got it. And then when it comes to furniture, if you're not like going to IKEA or Home Goods, which everyone loves to go to, but they may have some toxic off-gassing or cheaper particle board, should people go to consignment stores or like where would they find this like furniture that's slightly better?
Yes, I do like consignment stores, but I would be very careful about consignment stores you go into, because you want to go to the ones that have better quality stuff. They tend to carry higher end products for less money, so that helps because you're getting something of quality rather than something that's not so good in quality. So you could do it that way.
Ooh, I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Consignment shopping for the win. And then what about candles? There's a lot of chemicals that are released when we burn candles that have tons of chemicals in them, which you or your pets can be sensitive to, or your children or whatnot. So for burning candles, what would you say is a good alternative?
Actually, I've stopped burning candles completely.
Mhm.
I just focus on having a fireplace or some sort of flame, gas flame, other than candle, because candles are full of chemical. And the ones that you see at home probably the worst of them all, because there's so many of them and they're all just sitting there. If anything, I would just either make your own or have a soy-based candle, or
Okay.
just buy battery-operated candle. Pottery Barn has some really great ones that look very realistic, and they give off a nice glow, so you can still get that illumination. Now, I understand that fire is healthy. Fire is very calming to us when we have that natural flame burning. But if you are suffering from an illness or trying to get yourself healthier, I would stay away from candles for a long period of time
Mm,
until the body is able to handle a candle burning here and there.
got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then what would you say about carpets? Because I know I have a huge sensitivity to carpet off-gassing. And I know a lot of people do where they think, oh, we'll just get new carpets and it'll be great. And then they don't feel well as a result of all of the off-gassing. Where would you say is the kind of, how would you do a non-toxic carpet or the least amount of toxins for carpets? Or would you go like completely like hardwood floors?
Yeah, I've always been just stick with the hard floor and put a rug on it because wall-to-wall carpeting will hold in so many more toxins than just a simple rug
Mm,
underneath in the living room or in the bedroom. It's There's so many different brands of carpets, and what I find is that the more you invest in a higher quality carpet, the less toxins you would have, but it's still there regardless. So
yeah.
it depends on whether you're able to have proper air ventilation after it's been installed. Maybe not sleep in there or do anything in there for a few days afterwards to allow the smell to dissipate outside with the window or vent. And there's really no way, unless the coffee industry overhaul how they make the carpet, there's really no way to avoid it completely.
Okay, so there's obviously better options. Also, I know you mentioned like old vents or cleaning. I'd often recommend to my patients about having their vents cleaned, like when is the last time, just because if they're not cleaning them regularly, they're breathing all of that stuff in, and especially if there's mold in there, then it can cause a whole host of issues. How often should people be doing that?
Oh, I would say once every 2 or 3 months. Yeah, especially if you are suffering from some sort of illness, then I would clean them more often. All of that stuff that your body is getting out, is getting into the air, the dust mites and that kind of thing. It goes for any kind of vent, whether it's a AC vent, laundry, dishwasher, everything, even behind the fridge. Dust
Mm,
accumulate very quickly in a matter of a day, basically, and especially out in areas much drier, where dirt can get blown around. And I've also had the same thing with living in humid environment too. It's everywhere. You can't avoid it. So the thing is to be diligent about checking your vent to make sure that they're clean and not accumulated with a thick layer of dirt and grime and all that kind of gross stuff.
and then to have them professionally cleaned, like how often should that happen in a house?
I would say at least maybe once that they can do the overhaul the whole system. But
Yeah.
if you're able to do it yourself easily, then by all means go for it. And I recommend keeping a calendar and to mark on your calendar when you need to check your van, because to help to keep um, track of it easily that way.
Yeah, and it also helps with good airflow in the home, which is really important because if the airflow is bad or you're just recirculating all of this stuff and breathing it all in, it's not good either. So I wanted to chat about certain products that people can use because when we go out to the store, you see so many different products and some are good, some are super toxic. I'm often really surprised at how many people are still using Glade plugins and just really toxic cleaning products. They're wondering why they're having hormone issues. You can't just be inhaling all of the chemicals all of the time. Sometimes they may smell good, but often full of toxins. So, what are your favorite products that you find are non toxic?
I like seventh generation. There's also two laundry detergent strips that I use, which have no smell to it and very little toxins in it. Because if you compare it to something that's like this, you can easily tell the difference between the being a safer option versus this, which is very strong and very overpowering, and the clothes will smell like it for days
Yeah.
afterward. And so there's lots of different non-toxic brands out there. And so I would just experiment with which one you like the best because everyone likes different things. Generally, if you can smell it immediately, even just walking down the aisle when you're shopping, if you can smell it, walk away.
That is a good
You
tip
know,
right there. Yeah. And
yeah,
then
that's an indicator that you should not be shopping for products there.
where can people get the true or the little laundry strips?
You can go to the website or look for them on Amazon. And now I know that a lot of people have their opinions about Amazon, but if you're able to not find it on the website, then go to Amazon.
Got it. The other day I was in Whole Foods and there was someone who had just, it was very strong, like detergent and dryer sheet smell to the point where a friend of mine and I walked by this person and my nose was burning. I can't even imagine just the chemical blanket that person's body is in to have such strong laundry detergent smell. It's very overpowering and pretty toxic. Do you have any other favorites that you'd like to share?
Bringing up the whole smell of your clothes when you are out in public and the smell can be very overpowering.
Yeah.
I would not use the fabric softener or fabric sheet. I would just use those 4-ball instead in the dryer because I think that's very non-toxic way of getting the clothes to get drier faster without that smell of the dryer sheet.
Yeah, I know you can also, with those wool balls, you can also use essential oils. You can always add 2 drops of lavender or something to give it a scent if you like scents. But
Yeah, exactly.
other than that, they don't have a scent. They're just wool balls that help with static electricity. I love them. We have 5.
Yeah, same here. You can find them at Home Goods. They have wool balls for sheep there, and they're great. I use them all the time. I put 3 or 4 of them in the dryer, and they're great.
Yeah, they help. And then you don't have that like super, super chemical smell, is bad. Other products that I have that I found, like Easy Off is a oven cleaner. It's very toxic. So there's a lot of like other options for, at least for the countertops or your oven to use. I'm sure there's other really good oven cleaners that are not as toxic as Easy Off, but there's also like these, like the green berry cooktop and kitchen wipes. So you can clean and polish those without lots and lots of toxins. And then you're mentioning 7th generation as well. They have multi-surface wipes, so you can use those kinds of things. There's this furniture polish that is pretty toxic, so you can just dust the furniture. It also works. But if you want to protect it, I know there's a lot of natural oils for wood. And then things that are like kind of other toxic things are like Comet with bleach. That is pretty toxic. There's, again, other ways to clean your oven with more non-toxic products, because again, all of these add like a lot of scents, they have a lot of aerosols, so you're just like breathing it in. And I know you're not supposed to be breathing in bleach either. Bleach is pretty toxic, so there's lots of alternatives.
My favorite natural cleaner to use is just vinegar and water. That's the best way to just get everything clean. Is natural. Vinegar can have a smell, but it's not totally non-toxic. And I use that to clean my floor, clean my countertops with that. You can add some lemon to it if you would like to give off a nice smell. But I believe to keep it simple is the best way to keep your house healthy.
Yeah. Is there any other wood cleaner that you guys have seen that are more natural?
I'm trying to think of, there's a cleaner that we use, but I can't remember the name of it right now.
I'm sure there's like other natural things instead of the really heavy aerolized spray as well. And then is there anything else that you would add to this to keep your home healthy and happy and non-toxic?
If you are going through a period where you're not feeling well, it's really important to minimize toxic cleaning smells and products in your home and to try to use something that's more natural, like vinegar and water, or something that you could find at Whole Foods or Target. And to try that for a while and see how that makes you feel. And I'll guarantee you, you would not want to go back to those products anymore. Because once people have separated themselves from that for a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and then they try to use it again, and they notice the difference.
Yeah, because they become sensitive to their environment. I know in school we were in a perfume-free, scent-free school for about 4 years. So our systems became very sensitive to any kind of outside perfumes or heavy smells. Your system does get very sensitized to it. So when you go back to a toxic chemical, you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something to give it a chance when you are not feeling good and you can't pinpoint exactly. You have to look at your own home.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
we spend so much time there, sleeping there and all that. You want to wash your bed sheets with these kind of toxic laundry detergent because
Right.
then you're constantly being bombarded by that smell while you're sleeping and not allowing your body to heal.
That's such a good point. That was sleeping and then also showering as well. If you're having toxic shower ingredients, those are two awesome examples.
It goes with anything in the home that you use for your body.
hmm Perfect. I love it. Is there anything else you would add?
A lot of these toxins, like you say, affect the hormone. Do you want to talk about that more?
A lot of the toxins that are found in toxic cleaning products, and this also goes for, unfortunately, some makeup products as well. Anything that you're putting on your body, like lotions and whatnot, they have something called xenoestrogens in them. So these products, they're also found in plastics and BPA. What they do is they mimic hormones. So what they're going to actually do is throw off your hormones because it's going to look like you're having higher estrogen in your system, which again can lead to things like fibroids or just throwing off your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone balance. They can also affect your thyroid as well. So there's a lot of things that I know chlorine can affect the thyroid. There's a whole entire list in the periodic table of things that are very similar to iodine that will displace iodine in the thyroid. So that will all of a sudden cause so many issues. And it leads to things like weight gain. Again, fibroids are non-fatty tumors. It also leads to things like hot flashes or an increase in estrogen symptoms. So there's a lot of things that it can cause. That's why we look at not only the foods that someone is eating, but also their environment. Mold can also affect so many things in the body about how the mitochondrial process energy, like how you have energy in your body or brain function, at least to brain fog, things like that. So lots of things that these chemicals and then especially mold can cause.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing we all need to be aware of in a home is where our modem and routers are because they give off a very strong electromagnetic frequency with the Wi-Fi. So you want to make sure that they're in the area where you're not sleeping, eating, or hanging out or spending a lot of time in. You want to make sure that they're located somewhere away from those areas because there's more and more evidence about how those things are disrupting our body in the home. So that's something to keep in mind.
1,000%. Yeah, I know for people who are sensitive to Wi-Fi, there's a lot of things that you can buy to put on your phones, but you're right, not sitting or sleeping next to the modem because that will cause a lot of issues. And then how can people find you?
Oh, I have an Instagram account at a.celesio.world. We'll put it in the picture later.
Yes,
Yeah, so
celestial
heavy.
world.
Yeah. And I started a newsletter recently to give people information about homes and about my cards that I've made, my oracle cards that I've made for the home. It's
Yes,
based on years of feng shui experience, the element of the home, the purpose of every room in the house. I'm a very strong believer that your inner self is reflected in your outer environment. Whatever's happening inside you is what's happening around you. And how to the very symbolic of what can be happening with us. That's why, like we were saying, the event and the hallways represent our arteries and our
respiratory system,
yeah,
your respiration.
exactly. If there's an issue that you have in the house, you might want to take a closer look at what's affecting you, health wise, in the body.
That, and I know we talk a lot about removing clutter. And I know you've seen this when you go into different homes. Why do people have the amount of stuff that they have?
Yeah, it's a really big problem in the market because we have a tendency to hold on to things and we need to let things go because we it doesn't do us any good to hold on to stuff that we no longer need or that's no longer beneficial to what we would like to do going forward.
I feel like when Marie Kondo was a massive sensation, everyone was like, if it doesn't bring joy, let it go. So
Yeah,
everyone was
exactly.
getting rid of stuff, which is probably very healthy. And you could probably move around your home better if you don't have all this stuff.
Yeah, I find that the biggest clutter areas of the house are our closets. Look, and things like they get jam packed. And it's okay to have it not completely full, but not completely empty either. You want to be able to have room to be able to move things around and not have it so much stuff that you have to actually take things out, find something, and then put it back. That makes sense.
So a good amount of to be able to see everything, it's organized, but not too cluttered in the kitchen.
And it's also important when you are going through health issues to check your pantry and your fridge and make sure that things are clean in there, that it's not filled with expired stuff or stuff
Right.
that you haven't eaten in months or years. It goes for old spices too. I found spices that were like 10 years old. If you haven't used it in 10 years, then let it go.
That's a long time to hold on to stuff. And I'll never forget this. I remember when I was thinking of plants and the importance, because you see in Home Goods and a lot of other stores, there's so many fake plants. I'll never forget. I was like, Elisa, look at this amazing orchid that I got. And I'm like, it's fake. And you're like, get rid of all of the fake plants. No fake plant. Can you talk about which kind of plants are better?
Yes, when I had the home staging business, unfortunately I had to use fake plants and it made me cringe every time I did it, but I would always try to offset it with some live plants, like orchid. Orchids make great plants if you want to have something that's blooming and flowering because they stick around for a long time. The spider plant and the piece of snake plant, those are the best in terms of cleaning the air. And they're pretty easy to take care of. It doesn't take too much maintenance. But yeah, it's important to keep them watered and have enough light. I would say the snake plant is probably the hardiest of them all.
That thing lasts. If you forget to water it a day or two, it's still alive. It's fine. Thank you so much for joining me today. You can find Elisa's home oracle cards and follow her at a.celestialhome on Instagram. We're going to give out some bonus content. If you want, the bonus content is going to be recommended house products that, after her like going over with 300 homes and experiencing all these houses and getting to know which products are best. We're going to give some bonus content in the comments. Comment the word product and we will send you the list. Thank you so much again for joining me, and we will see you next time.
Thank you again for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon. Bye.